Copycat Killers Volume 1 True Crime Stories of Killers Who Took Morbid Inspiration from Movies and the Media by Eliza Toska, and read by Michelle. Preface. Sometimes the opposite is true for the well-known saying, art imitates life. Real life often imitates art too, and for the people I'll tell you about in this book, this means imitating gruesome horror movies, fictional characters created on the internet, and violent protagonists from blockbuster films. I'll tell you about Thierry Jaredin, who got revenge on a woman who spurned his advances by dressing up in the Ghostface costume from Scream to impale her 30 times. Then there's the cult classic movie Natural Born Killers, which has been linked to a number of copycat crimes from people who took it upon themselves to make the fictional tale of Mickey and Mallory a reality. Merging my intrigue of true crime and my love of cinema, Copycat Killers delves into the crimes that drew inspiration from fictional tales. These real-life crimes, which often supersede the horror of the movies they're mimicking, are a macabre but intriguing category of true crime. Some of the crimes outlined in this book are disturbing to read and describe acts of sickening violence. Please bear this in mind before proceeding. Now, let's look at some of the most depraved killers who took morbid murderous inspiration from movies and the media. Slender Man. Two young girls lured their friend into a desolate forest and brutally stabbed her 19 times in an attempt to prove themselves to the fictional horror character Slender Man. Slender Man is a supernatural character that has become something of an icon in the online world. The freaky-looking man, along with his mysterious backstory, started as a creepypasta in 2009. Creepypasta is horror urban legend stories shared among fans on the web. Slender Man is depicted as a disturbingly thin, abnormally tall character that simultaneously resembles a human, yet is nothing like a human at all. His face is completely devoid of features and merely has a white blank canvas where his eyes, nose, and mouth ought to be. He's often portrayed as having tentacles or tendrils protruding out of his back, something he uses to capture unwitting children. He wears a smart black suit and is frequently portrayed as holding hands with a small child. He lives in the woods, and this is the place he procures his young victims. Tales of Slender Man and his origins differ depending on who you talk to, but one main part of the narrative always stays the same. He's a child abductor who enjoys traumatizing and stalking young children. The idea of Slender Man caught fire on the internet, and as well as hundreds of fan fiction stories being uploaded, the ghoulish character has also spawned his own movies and video games. While there are plenty of horrific folklores out there, such as Candyman or Bloody Mary, Slender Man really caught the attention of children and teenagers in a whole new way. The success of the Slender Man fable is likely down to its encouragement for fans of the story to collaborate on it and thus form a type of community. Slender Man and his true motives and desires are opaque enough for fans to be able to adapt his story and mold a new backstory for him, sharing them with a hungry group of fellow enthusiasts. There were two young Slender Man devotees in particular who took his tales of horror and decided to turn them into a macabre and bloody reality. On the warm, sunny morning of May 31, 2014, a man riding his bike along the roadside in Waukesha, Wisconsin, came across a sight he'd never forget. Doing a double take on the horrific sight he'd happened upon, he soon realized his eyes weren't deceiving him. He really did see a child laying in the grassy area beside the road, and she was covered in a lot of blood. The man didn't know it yet, but the 12-year-old girl he was rescuing was the survivor of a horrific attack in the name of fictional child abductor, Slender Man. Just 24 hours before the discovery, Peyton Leutner had been having the time of her life, enjoying her best friend's birthday celebrations. She had no idea that this fun birthday slumber party was really a sinister ruse to get the preteen alone and in the woods. Once she was vulnerable among the trees and leafy land, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weier planned to do unthinkable things to the innocent youngster. Morgan, the brains, and Anissa, the loyal follower, who agreed with everything her best friend said, had been mapping out this murder for months. The 12-year-olds had to carry out this brutal crime to prove to Slender Man that they were worthy, that they were dedicated to him. By sacrificing a child for him, they'd forever be one of his proxies, someone who serves him and carries out his deeds for him.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?